You may have already seen this logo animation before in a previous tutorial that I've made. And in fact, over a million people have watched that. Seriously, over 1 million views. And there's some problems with it. My camera stopped working at one point. People had questions about what a PNG image was and how to get the background transparent and how to even set up the timeline at the bottom. So this video isn't going to be a redo of that video, but I'm going to show you another method of creating this logo animation, this liquid style logo animation in Procreate. But this time we're going to do the easy way. There's a lot of ways. That other video showed one way. And this is going to be, in my opinion, the easiest way of doing a liquid Apple logo animation. First things first, we're going to go to Google and find an image of the Apple logo. And like I said in that other video, this is going to be a PNG image. Now, what a PNG image is it's a file type that allows you to have a transparent background. Now, not all PNGs have a transparent background. Some of these PNGs fake like they're going to have a transparent background. Like some of these, if you're looking at the search grid in Google, some of these have a checked background, and that makes it appear as if it's going to be a PNG image with a transparent background. These are all fakes. Don't go for that. What we need is a PNG image that's actually taking advantage of the fact that PNGs can have a transparent background. So it should appear normal on the side here, but then when you actually tap on it, it's going to show the checked background of the transparency that PNG images have. Now, once we found this image, let's go back into Procreate and open up a new canvas. Now, I'm just going to do a 1080 by 1080 canvas. You don't need it to be too big. Try some different sizes if you want. Now, to get the canvas set up for animation, I'm also going to come up here and go to the canvas settings and turn on the animation assist, and that'll bring up the animation timeline at the bottom. And because I'm going to keep things really easy, and by the end of this, most people end up wanting to have their backgrounds transparent, we're just going to come up here and turn off the background color. And back over in Safari, we're going to simply tap and hold and drag this image into Procreate. Let's simply shrink it down and put it in the middle. Now, this image isn't perfectly white. It's like a gray logo. So I'm just going to come up here, make sure I've got white, and you can do any color you want, but I just want it to be crystal clear and crisp. Next thing we're going to do before we do any sort of animation, kind of the last step of setting up our canvas, we're going to come down to the settings in the animation timeline and make sure our animation settings are appropriate. I would recommend either 12 frames per second, or for this animation, I'm just going to do 6 frames per second. It's a little bit more stuttery of a frame rate. 12 frames per second means you're going to have more frames to draw. For the onion skins, which is basically just a transparent ghost version of the previous frame and the next frame, it just allows you to see what you've already animated and what you're going to animate. Let's just drop it down to 5 frames for the onion skins, and maybe we'll need to change that later. And like I said, this is going to be the easy way, because all you're going to need to make this animation, at least to make the foundational element of this animation, is the eraser tool. Now, come up to the eraser tool, tap it again, and let's make sure we have something, a brush that's somewhat smooth, doesn't have jagged edges, just a normal looking brush. I'm going to go with the smooth hard brush. The reason why I say this is the easy way is because we're going to just use the eraser to just slowly, frame by frame, erase the logo. And then, once we're done that, all you'll have to do is rearrange the frames, and it will appear as if the logo isn't erasing, but it's revealing. And to make it feel like liquid, just erase it in some squiggly lines. And if it doesn't look like liquid at first, try it a couple different times. So first thing I'm going to do is quickly just duplicate this frame, so at least we have the original frame somewhere. Duplicate the frame, and like I said, let's just erase a little bit of it. Make it look kind of like a wave, because this is a liquid reveal, and you're seeing this red underneath because that's the previous frame. Again, that's what an onion skin is it's showing the previous frames. Duplicate again, Let's erase a little bit more. Duplicate, erase, duplicate, erase, duplicate, erase. This might get repetitive, so got a little bit of this already off. And last one, duplicate, erase, and actually I lied, one more, and we erase the last of it. Now let's just play this and see how it looks. All right, you can see that it's disappearing, and like I said, all we have to do now is rearrange the frame so it's not disappearing, it's revealing. So let's drag this one to the end, drag this one right in front of that, drag this one in front of that one, drag this one, and that's now the fourth one to the end, drag this one, and that's the fifth one. You can kind of see a little thumbnail of them at the bottom. And drag that one. Now let's see how it looks. And there you've got it. And it might not look exactly how you want it at first. And for me, right now, I didn't throw much effort into making it really feel like liquid. And so after doing this really quickly, like maybe it took me less than 5 minutes, I might look at that and feel like, you know, this just doesn't look natural to me. So I'm gonna just redo it. Let's just come up here, select all of them except for that original logo and delete. Let's start again. We're back on the eraser, duplicate. I kind of want a little bit more of a dramatic liquid look to it. This frame might not necessarily be my last frame. What I might need to do here is, because I'm drawing this one and I've erased too much, I might rearrange things a little bit. Or come back to this frame and fill in an extra frame. So let's duplicate this and just keep going though. Maybe I will erase a little bit less each time and see how that begins to look. Duplicate, next. Duplicate, next. All right, I've erased that. Now again, let's just rearrange these frames. And let's see how it looks. All right, that's a little bit more liquidy looking. And like I said before though, this end kind of jumps. And that's because that first frame that I erased too much. So what I'm gonna just do here is duplicate this last frame, and that way I've got another frame in the middle between these frames. And let's come up to onion skins here, and we're gonna go blend primary frame, and that's just gonna allow me to see more of the frames and see what's being hidden underneath the paint. So again, I'm gonna erase, but I'm gonna try to meet halfway between the end and that initial frame that I did. And let's do that one more time. Let's duplicate that full image, the full logo, and then go to the one in between, and let's erase that halfway in between that. And let's, go to the onion skins, turn off blend primary frame. Let's tap play and see how that's looking. Now that's actually looking pretty decent. This one really didn't take me that long at all. And the last thing that I'm gonna do is really just draw that paint droplet that falls from the top, splatters and hits the Apple logo somewhere around here, and ends up revealing and spreading across the logo to reveal the Apple logo. Gonna go to the very first frame, come up to the paintbrush, make sure we're on something like the smooth hard airbrush like we were using for the eraser, and let's just start drawing that droplet. We'll tap add a frame this time instead of duplicate a frame because we want just a clear empty frame. This time the droplet's gonna be really long because it's like speeding through the air, getting faster as it picks up speed. Add a frame. This time it almost hits the Apple logo, and we're gonna add this frame. It does hit, and then a few droplets because it's gonna splatter out. Now this time, we're just gonna go to the very first frame of the animation and animate from there. So the tiny little drops that are splattering out, we're gonna keep animating those drops. Next frame, we're not adding a frame anymore. And let's just do these little droplets really small and like they're barely there. And then we probably don't need to do it anymore. So let's just play it and see how it looks. Not bad. Now, as I'm watching it back, I think the animation of the drop itself is moving a little bit slow. So what I would do here is probably just get rid of one of these frames. Let's get rid of this frame here and see how that feels. All right, press play. And I think I want to get rid of one more frame. Again, we're moving at 6 frames per second. So we really don't need that much motion. Let's get rid of this one. See how it feels. And that speed-wise feels a little bit better. I'm just gonna go to this very initial frame and stretch it out a little bit longer just to try to connect these 2 frames together. Nice, that's feeling better. And you know, this doesn't look like a droplet when you're drawing it here, but if you play it, it's speeding through the air and it's kind of a blur. It's like it's stretching through the air. So it really feels natural once you play it back. And that's it. We've got a droplet that's hitting here. I like the way you can see just a few little drops that splatter out as it makes impact with the top of the Apple logo. And that's it. That's the easy way of doing this logo animation. Again, there's a lot of different ways. There's ways that you could make it a little bit more liquidy. There's ways that you can use masks and clipping masks so that you can edit things a little bit easier later. Again, you could do 12 frames per second and it'll have a little bit more of a smooth feel. Now you can come up here and tap share, and there's a lot of ways to export this as a video file or as a GIF. Tap animated GIF and it's gonna keep the transparency. And if you're doing an MP4, you'd need to come up here and maybe add a background color and maybe make it black. Turn that background color on, and there you've got the logo animation as a video file, again, if you used animated MP4. But if you wanted to do an animated GIF, you could go to animated GIF here, turn that background layer off, tap animated GIF, make sure transparent background is still turned on. You could even change the frames per second here and speed things up, which looks pretty decent. All right, and that's it. I hope this was helpful. That is the Liquid Apple logo animation, the easy way.